This is the Savvy Investor radio show and podcast. For help with your retirement, schedule a 15-minute phone conversation with the team at ProStatus Financial Advisors today. Just call 866-597-1040 and at thesavvyinvestorradio.com.
Welcome back to the Savvy Investor Radio Show and Podcast with Mike Canet and Ryan Herbert at ProStatus Financial. Hey, if it's time to talk about your retirement, time to talk about your 401k, let's get something down on paper. Let's get some analysis for you. Give us a call, 866-597-1040, or use our website, which is thesavvyinvestorradio.com. All right, guys, big news this past week or so. Warren Buffett, we're all wondering if we're going to retire at 65. He's 94, and he finally decided he was going to retire. And when I think about Warren Buffett, he has laid down a lot of interesting quips and rules and different things like that. The ones that come to mind are, if you're going to buy something, know what you buy, research it, and then hold it, he would always say. He says, don't let investments be a part of your emotions. Don't let politics be a part of your investing. And, of course, don't lose money. That's the one rule. Always see rule number one. So, Mike, what do you think of Warren Buffett? What does he bring to mind to you? And those things that we just went through, do they kind of hold up today?
Yeah, I think Warren Buffett, he is the sage of Nebraska, right? Mm-hmm. Omaha. So he does have some words of wisdom there. And I think the takeaway is that, one, have a plan. Don't let the investments dictate the goal. Have the goal dictate the investment, right? So you want the goals to say, here's what we're going to invest in so that we have the results we want. But I also think that whole idea of never running out of money, right? That's so important for retirees because they've worked all these years, right? They've worked 20, 30, 40, 50 years. They've got to the point where they've made the smart choices. They've made sacrifices that they needed to make. They made sound financial decisions to get them to the point where they have the opportunity to retire. And now we need to switch that paycheck, right? We've had a W-2 for decades, and now we have to switch that income stream over to a steady stream of income that, as Warren Buffett says, don't run out of money. Well, that's important, not to run out of money before you run out of time. And so I think the idea of having a well-developed plan, having an income stream that you're never going to outlive, I think those things are important. There's always going to be volatility, right? And to some extent, this is what Warren Buffett was saying, is you have to be able to work your way through the volatility. But if you have a sound plan in place, you don't care about the market fluctuations. If you have a sound plan in place and you have your income stream, if you have a sound income stream established, it doesn't matter what happens to the ebbs and flows and the ups and downs of the market. You don't care about those things because the income is always going to be there. And that goes back to, Warren's point, never run out of money, understand what you're doing, have a plan of action. Look, on average, the market drops 20% every 3 years. On average, it drops 20%. And then on average, every 7 years, it drops almost 40%. So if you're retiring at age 60, think about this. And I'm doing, again, my famous air quotes on the radio. You have an opportunity at age 60 to lose 40% of your money 4, maybe 5 times before you die. Well, I don't know about Warren Buffett, maybe he's in a little bit better position, but I don't know anybody in their right mind who wants to go through retirement worrying about every 7 years having a 40% drop in their income or a 40% drop in their portfolio. Understanding how to create the income streams that you need to have so that you never run out of money. I think that fits so well into Warren Buffett's strategy and philosophy of having that plan, having that income. And if you want to have that type of experience, if you want to understand exactly where your income is going to come from, to replace your paycheck. And you want to understand where you're going to get money when the markets are down, right? Because you have to have that safe bucket of money for the honey-do list, the round-to list, the bucket list. And if you want to know how you're going to outpace inflation and outpace, the taxes and how to secure your income in the most secure fashion, you have to pick up the phone and give us a call. 866-597-1040, 866-597-1040. Sit down with Ryan, myself, and our team. We will show you how to create income streams you'll never outlive. We're going to talk to you about the fees, the risk. We're going to talk to you about estate planning. We're going to talk to you about a legacy plan. And think about it from this perspective. Warren Buffett, there's that other piece. You talked about, little quips and things that he's known for. He did an interview with 60 Minutes, a couple decades ago, where he talked about the fact that he pays a lesser tax rate. This is a billionaire who makes hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars a year, and he pays at a lesser tax rate than his administrative staff does. So think about that. Let that resonate for just a minute. That is why having a strategic plan put together is so important. That's why working with a financial planning team that truly understands taxes and tax planning. Ryan, you did better part of 300 tax returns this year. I have a master's degree in taxes. Ryan has to explain to CPAs and enrolled agents from other people what exactly is going on in the tax bill and why they have to do things different. It's insane that our industry is allowed to give financial advice and not understand the very tax implications of that advice they're giving. That's why you need to have a well-developed written plan. Follow Warren Buffett's rules. He's not an idiot. He made billions by having a strategic approach, by always remembering rule number one, and you should too. Pick up the phone, give us a call, 866-597-1040.
If you don't have a complete retirement plan, that's exactly what we're going to build for you here at ProStatus. It includes that portfolio protection plan. You like the look of your 401k and all that you've saved? Let's protect it. Give us a call, 866-597-1040. Or the SavvyInvestorRadio.com. If you've saved over $500,000 for retirement, this is where you're really going to see the power of tax planning and income planning put to work for you. Again, the SavvyInvestorRadio.com. All right, so Ryan, when I think about Warren Buffett, I think about the idea of let's not lose money. We're going to protect our money. That's got to be job number one, along with growth, that people are looking for when they walk through your doors. Protect what I've got, grow what I got, make sure I know I'm not going to run out of money.
Protect what I have and grow it as much as we can. But most importantly, when people come in, they hear us on the radio, they're really curious about creating those income streams from their nest egg that they can outlive. And that in turn really means never running out of money. And, I can tell hundreds of these stories of, the way we create these income streams. But, Keith and Lori listened to the radio show for a number of years, and he really was a do-it-yourselfer. And Lori eventually drove him to say, hey, I've been listening to these people on the radio. I really think you should give them a call. So, they drove over to our Hanover office from Pasadena, which is about a 10-minute drive, so not very far. One of the fun things that we do, one of the cool things that we do is we ask to see your financial plan, whether you have an existing financial advisor or you're doing it yourself. Send us your financial plan so I can see what your plan is and really show you the areas that I think are working, the areas that I think could be improved upon. And, for them, they had about $1.8 million set aside for retirement in various 401ks and IRAs. They had some money in Roth and some money in a brokerage account. And what he had been doing is he was using a Monte Carlo simulator that he found on the internet. Basically, do I have enough money to retire? And what that thing was saying is, based on all my numbers, I have a small pension coming in. We're both going to get Social Security. We need about $3,500 a month coming in every single month from our investments. And based on the numbers that I ran, we have a 99% probability of making it. And he asked me, I can never get it to be 100. And I said, well, that's because if they put 100% on there, they're giving you a guarantee, and no one's ever going to give you a guarantee that you're going to work. And so, I sat down and I went through his numbers and I said, let me show you a couple different approaches to how this would work. So you have $1.8 million. In order for us to get the income that you want by using your approach, we can take that money and put it in the overall stock market and have it in large established companies, blue chip companies paying relatively high dividends, but more importantly, they consistently pay dividends. We're talking Exxon, UPS, FedEx, Verizon, companies like that are paying somewhere over 2 to 3% dividend year over year. And of your $1.8 million that you've set aside, we're going to use about $1.4 million of it. So about 75% of your money is going to be dedicated to income. That leaves you $400,000 left over on the side for emergencies and extras and, the honey-do list and whatever it is you want to do. The plus side to it is stock market goes up, your money goes up. The downside is stock market goes down, you lose money. And those dividends are not set in stone. Those dividends will change based on how well or how poor the company is doing or how well or how poor the overall stock market's doing. We can go one level down and we can use what are called preferred stocks. So instead of using 1.4 of your 1.8 million, we're using 1.2 of that. And they're paying a little bit higher dividend rate, somewhere between 4 and 6%. The difference there being the dividend rate is set. They can't change the dividend. They can call that stock back and give you back your money, But that dividend rate doesn't change based on how well or how poor the company is doing. It doesn't change based on how well or how poor the stock market's doing. Stock market goes up, you'll make a little bit of money. Stock market goes down, it's not as volatile as the overall market. But the benefit to those two strategies is your money's 100% liquid. Now, it's 100% liquid from the perspective of I can go get it if I want. But if I need 1.4 or 1.1 in the market earning X percent, if I take any dollars away from that, I'm not getting that same income because now I have 1.3 million at 3% is not paying me the income I need, the same thing as 1.4. And then we can use the word that everybody hates. We can use an annuity. Annuities really are conceptually like buying your own personal pension. You have $1.8 million. Instead of taking 1.4 million or 1.1 and using up a good majority of your assets to give you that income you need in retirement, we can take about 640,000. We can go out, we can buy this annuity, and it's going to say the date at which you need this income, this $3,500 a month, it's going to pay it to you every single month, year after year, until both of you, as long as both of you are living, it's going to pay that number no matter what happens in the stock market.
Or interest rates.
We don't care if the stock market goes up 20% because I'm going to have the income that I need. We don't care if the stock market's going to drop 20% because I'm going to have the income I need. And most importantly, now we've only, of my 1.8, I've only used a third of that money. Give yourself that income stream that you and your spouse need to rely on. And that really is the Warren Buffett rule of never running out of money in retirement. And if this is a strategy that you've been looking for, if this is a strategy that you've been asking your 401k company, you've been asking your advisor and not getting the answer that you feel is the right answer for you, I encourage you to give us a call at 866-597-1040, 866-597-1040. Sit down with Mike, myself, and our team here at ProStatus and let us put together a comprehensive retirement plan that talks about taxes, talks about fees, but most importantly, talks about creating income streams that you and your spouse cannot outlive. 866-597-1040, 866-597-1040. Or as I love to joke, if you don't like picking up the phone to make appointments, you can go to our website, thesavvyinvestorradio.com. Right at the top of the page, it says schedule my meeting, thesavvyinvestorradio.com. You're looking at your schedule and our schedule, all without ever having to pick up the phone.
It's one of the big mysteries of retirement. What's my paycheck going to look like? I know I'm going to get Social Security. I've got this 401k. What does it mean for me? Let's get that information for you. If you've saved $500,000 or more for retirement, this is where you're really going to see the power of planning. 866-597-1040 or thesavvyinvestorradio.com. Mike, Ryan, I'm going to give you the final word for today.
This is Ryan Herbert. Thank you so much for listening to the Savvy Investor Radio Show and podcast.
This is Mike Canet. We'll see you, the Savvy Investor, next week.
Advisory services offered through ProStatus Financial Advisors Group, a registered investment advisor. Insurance licensed in Maryland. ProStatus Financial Advisors Group, LLC is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if ProStatus Financial Advisors Group is licensed in your state, please call 410-863-1040. ProStatus Group, LLC is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through representatives of ProStatus Financial Advisors Group.